Hey, this is Coach Nikki Zeigler here. Um, this is my third interview for today on the Herpreneur virtual book tour. Hanging out with the Milton Entertainment Group, having an exciting author that'll be talking about her book, talking about where she's from, and we're excited to have her on our live today. Um, she's getting ready. She's checking her eyes. Just playing.
Nikki, you're so sweet.
Yeah, you're good. So anyway, tell the people who you are and tell them where you're from.
Hi, Nikki. Thanks so much for having me on the show. I'm the original Millie Mills. Right now I reside in Austin, Texas. I've been here about 3 years. Before that, I was in Atlanta for 4 years, and before Atlanta, Dallas, Texas. I was in the Dallas, Texas area for 12 years, and prior to that, Memphis, Tennessee for 10 years.
Okay.
So here I am now. Thanks for having me on the show. Thank you.
So tell us the name of your book, and do you have the book with you?
On the air with Millie Mills, The Triumphs of a Radio Diva. You get that real close where you can hopefully see
nice.
that.
That's a really nice cover. Okay, great. And
Thank
so,
you.
tell us what made you name it that, and when did the book come out?
The book was published in 2012.
Okay.
And the reason I call it that is because I got into radio when it was very few females in the business, and I saw the trends, how it went from one era to the other. I got into radio straight out of college from an radio internship in Pine Bluff. I'm an HBCU graduate, University of Arkansas Pine Bluff. Thank you. And I graduated. Thank you. I graduated in 1988, and it all started with a radio internship at KYDE. There was an African American program director, or female program director at the time, Mary Nell Howard, rest in peace. But she was my mentor and gave me my first shot in radio. And back then, like I said, it was just very, very, very few females who were even in the broadcast arena. So after seeing 25 years of going from what they called back then, we were called radio announcers, and then it trended into in the early to mid 90s, it went to more radio personalities.
Okay.
And, so now it's almost a diminishing, field because of, all the technology, the internet, the podcasting, and all that stuff. So
They did a complete I live in Wetumpka, but I'm from Montgomery. I'm here in Montgomery now. And they've taken off every local disc jockey in our radio. I'm like, how do you even, and the people that we hear now, we don't even know them. We can't touch them. We've never seen them before. Like, it's so
yeah,
different. And I used to work for a radio station, so I understand. I work for iHeart, so I understand.
Yeah, the syndication and all that kind of just wiped out a lot of what they say disc jockeys, on air personalities got wiped out due to syndication and the internet, all of that. So that's how that title was birthed, because I did a lot of jumping through hoops going, I worked at so many different formats and so many different markets. So that's why I call it the triumphs of a radio diva.
Okay. So what will you tell your 13-year-old self right now?
What would I tell
your 13-year-old self?
My 13-year-old self?
Yeah. All the stuff that you've been through in life. And if you would go back to be 13-year-old, what lessons have you learned that you would tell yourself at 13?
We'd be talking a long time. But I can say some of the lessons I've learned is just to stick to what you love. I mean, I felt compelled to get out of the broadcast arena after it was so many crooks and turns. I was trying to land in that, what they call safety net. And now I got all kind of degrees and certifications behind me, insurance, I think I got over into insurance because I'm a very caring person, but my true love is entertainment. And I know now that's where I need to be, and that's where I belong, back where it all started. But I did some shifting to try to see I guess I was just testing to see what else there is in me other than entertainment. So I'm going to brush up on my business skills, be more savvy
Mm-hmm.
in business. I even recently picked up another certification from UT, University of Texas here in Austin, and small business certification just this March while we're going through all this stuff with the pandemic. Just constantly trying to hone in my skills. And I would also say to the 13-year-old self of mine is to keep learning. I have a thirst for knowledge and not to lose that zest and that zeal, because sometimes you will kind of take a dip, or you're not as hungry, or you don't have that strong desire, and that's what you want to do. You want to avoid. You don't want to ever lose that fire and get comfortable, lay back, and all of that. You don't want to ever.
Losing
That's
resentment about yourself. Gotta stay positive. Gotta stay pushing forth and recreating your identity. So that's very important. Um,
yes.
what kind of advice would you give an inspired author?
Hey, it's going to be some long nights. Hey, just roll up your sleeves, get your coffee going, or whatever your snack or whatever might inspire you. If you have to have music, gospel music, pop music, whatever kind of, or movies, whatever you need to do. But just slowly pace yourself. If you feel winded and tired and worn, don't give up. Don't stop because you're feeling overwhelmed or feeling worn. Take a break for a day, but don't stop writing. Never stop. Never stop writing. Completion is king. You want to always finish what you start. If you can't, unless unless it's the alternative, you don't wake up the next day. But if you're still on this earth, you want to try to complete what you start.
That's right.
Yeah. Yeah.
Wow. My question to you is, who gave you the confidence to write this book?
Well, it's as a young kid, I would say middle school. I've always had a knack for writing and always did well in English. In the seventh grade, I received one of those certificates. At the end of the school semester, you get all the awards. Every May or whatever.
Right.
And I received outstanding performance in English, and that's when I knew then I had a knack for English writing. All that was kind of combined. Composition is what they call it. And back then, and I knew then I had something, something special in that area. I knew I was gifted. And I always liked to write poems and things like that, as a teenager. And one of my first poems is in this book, and it's about God. But it is included in there. But I always wanted to bring my writing to print, to life. Just didn't know how.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember when I was working at ABC Radio Networks in Dallas,
Mm-hmm.
um, at one time, Tom Joyner, Michael Baisden, Doug Banks, we were all in the same building. And I used to see Sybil Wilkes, used to work with Tom Joyner. I used to see them all on a daily basis. And I remember when she published her first book, and I asked her, how was it? What was it like? And she was telling me, well, it's not easy, Milli, and it's expensive. And so I kind of felt a little defeat at that time. I was like, well, maybe I won't write a book. Maybe it's not for me. And I kind of put it behind me. And then later on, maybe months down the road, I overheard one of my coworkers when I was on the air. He was on before me, air shift before me. And I remember coming into the studio, and he was talking to a caller on the line, on the request line, and she was a published author. And then he introduced me to her, and then we just hit it off and we clicked. And she just told me, she didn't recommend it. She said, you need to write a book. I don't know why she told me, of
Right.
all people, she told me, you need to write a
God
book.
told her to tell you. Of course, you know why. God told her to tell you.
Yeah. I mean, at that moment, I was like, why is she coming at me that way? Because she wasn't telling anybody else in the room that, but she told me I need to write a book. So I took that energy and I grabbed it and I started writing it in 2009, and it was completed in 2012.
Wow. Where can we find the book?
Oh, it's available on Amazon.com, wherever books are sold online, Barnes and Noble, Google Play, all of those outlets online. You can get it there.
Okay. Before we let you go, can you say something encouraging to those who have went through so much this 2020 year, those who went through the pandemic, the COVID, the election was kind of crazy, depression. Can you just speak into the people and encourage them on this morning?
Yes. I want you to remember, regardless of what's going on around us and all this craziness, or uncertainty or instabilities that we see, please know that there's a higher source. Please know that there's a God who loves us. Please know that we didn't make ourselves. The Creator is in charge of all of us, and He sees everything. He's all knowing, and He is aware of what's going on. So when you start to feel overwhelmed and you start to feel helpless, give it over to God. You know, get with a strong prayer group. If you feel like you can't do it on your own, get with a prayer group, get with a good church. And if you can't go to church, watch some of the ministries online. I recommend TVN 24/7 of religious great programming. Joel Osteen and all of them are right there to encourage you on.
Amen. Well, thank you so much for your time. Thank you for this interview. And I will
You're
talk to
very
you
welcome.
very soon.
Thank you so much for having me, Nikki.
Have a good
God
day.
bless you all. Happy Thanksgiving.
You too. Bye bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Wow. Don't forget, guys, follow her. Go to Amazon. You can look her up on Amazon, Barnes and Noble, Books a Million. And I know I know the book is going to be amazing, especially for those who are in broadcast, those who are journalism and media. Go ahead and support her now. Go follow her now. This has been a great interview.